Sample Tank 3 has two envelopes, and in this video we're going to look at envelope 1. This is used to alter and edit and affect the level or volume of a note over time. Envelope 2 is used to affect the filter and pitch. We'll look at that separately, but basically the characteristics of a note over time can be controlled here. Now I'm going to go through what the sliders do and then we'll demonstrate them briefly. The attack slider determines how long it takes from the note on until a note reaches its full amplitude. And when it's all the way down like this, it means it's going to reach full volume right away. The hold parameter determines how long it holds that full volume for before it enters the next phase of the note's evolution, which is the decay stage. So this determines how long it takes to reach full volume, how long it holds full volume for, and then how long it takes to decay down to the level that it'll be held at this sustain level. So this is the only of these values that is an actual level amount. The rest are time-based. So the time it takes to reach full volume, the time it holds that full volume for until it starts decaying, the time it takes to decay until it reaches the level that it's going to be sustained at, and then the R's for release when the note off happens, when you take your finger off the keyboard, how long it takes for the note to return to 0. So that's the characteristics of a sound over time. This is how you control them. I'm going to play you a little region I have here, and let's focus on the bass part. It's on part 3, and that's what we're going to be working with. And there's long notes on here, and as it is, you'll hear the notes full out as they were programmed and as the envelope will allow them to fully sound. Now, first thing is we can slow the attack down so that we don't get full volume right away, and it'll take a bit of time to ramp up to the full volume. This won't work great with this type of music, but it'll give you an idea of how this control works. Let's try a bit more. So the long notes are taking a while to ramp up. The short notes, it's taking so long to ramp up that we're not even hearing them, we're barely hearing them. Let's lower that a bit. So that's what the attack does. I'm going to leave it down because for this type of bass part we want a nice sharp attack. Now hold determines how long it's going to hold that volume for until it decays, and then it'll maintain the sustain level. So let me bring this down so that we can really hear the influence of these parameters. I'll bring it up just a little bit, and right now we'll probably barely hear anything. And we're not hearing anything because it's decaying right away. So let's have it hold the full volume for a bit before it decays. So we're getting a very staccato part now because it's holding it very briefly and then decaying quickly to a low level. Now if I increase the sustain level, it won't change that percussive nature, but it'll have them sound a bit louder. And we hear it sustaining at a louder volume, so we hear it ringing on a bit more. Let's lower this. And then we can determine how long it takes to decay. So lots of ways of influencing the shape of the sound over time. Let's increase the hold and lower this. So it's going to hold it at full volume longer, but it'll start decaying quicker. Now in this case, the decay slider isn't influencing things much because the hold is so long, it's just holding it at full volume. So you hear as we increase the decay slider, it's taking longer for it to ramp down to this volume level. So the note's lasting longer and sort of tapering off a bit more gradually. Now let's explore the release slider. I'm just going to play some notes on my keyboard. Alright, let me increase this so we're getting a little bit longer note. Now, when I take my finger off the note, this determines how long it takes for it to return to 0. Now, when I bring this all the way down, we're going to hear a very abrupt note off. And if I increase it, it'll taper down after my finger is off the note. That's a dramatic amount of release, but you might want something a little in between, just so it's not so abrupt. For a bass sound, you do want a fairly sharp note off, but for different types of sounds, you might want a longer release. Like for pads, you want a very long release. So it tapers off gradually like that. So those are the basic stages that a note goes through in terms of volume, and this slider here controls the overall output levels. It's kind of like a volume control. So that's envelope 1. Next video, we're going to explore envelope 2.